They built 86 new homes in the circle, all at once, in a place where nothing had been touched for decades. It was supposed to be the start of a new phase: smart homes, automated systems, a modern expansion designed to attract the next generation of residents. But something went wrong, because only 85 families moved in, and no one could say what happened to the 86th house. Officially, the house didn't exist. Unofficially, someone was living inside it. Clara Dresden arrived at Andover Hills as just another contractor, brought in to oversee the final architectural phase of development. She was fresh off a controversial project in Oregon, one that never made it to completion due to undisclosed ethical concerns. The Trust Circle wasn't supposed to know about that, but Langston did. On her first day, she noticed that the numbers didn't add up. 86 homes, but 85 nameplates. She asked Patricia during the orientation tour why there was an unlisted structure on the edge of Wexley's development zone. Patricia smiled, too long, and said, "That's not a house. That's a legacy unit. It isn't yours to worry about." Clara had built enough compliant neighborhoods to recognize a red flag when she saw one, so she checked the zoning permits. House numbers 1 through 86 were approved, stamped, and signed under expedited clearance by a private group called LRC Holdings, an entity registered to Evan Lockridge. The same Lockridge who vanished after the original Circle Protocol went dark in 2007. Still, construction continued. Fast, too fast. Workers reported odd delays in delivery, but materials always arrived early. Invoices were paid before submission. No one complained. No one asked why 3 crews walked off the job mid-build and were replaced overnight by new men in matching gray uniforms, unmarked, polite but silent. By month 3, the houses were done. Families began moving in, mostly couples, some retirees, a few with kids, all screened, all cleared. Patricia handled their intake, smiling behind her clipboard, watching every vehicle that passed through the checkpoint. Everyone was required to sign a non-disclosure agreement for technological protection purposes. That phrase again. Clara started documenting. She mapped every property's internal structure, floor plans, smart systems, HVAC schematics. Everything was standard, except for the homes numbered 40 through 50. These had a second fuse box, an unmarked panel embedded in the wall behind the master bedroom closet, a signal interceptor. She only noticed it because when she stood near it, her phone would lose all reception for precisely 17 seconds. Every time. She mentioned it to one of the subcontractors. The next day he quit without notice, left town. House 86, the unspoken one, remained unoccupied. But it wasn't empty. Clara drove by one night. The porch light was on. The blinds moved as she passed. There were shadows inside. She submitted a formal request to inspect the property for electrical inconsistencies. Patricia denied it within 6 minutes. "You're not authorized for that unit," the email read. "Please focus your attention on homes still in transition." Still in transition. The words stuck with her. That week, during a mandatory HOA board meeting, Clara noticed something else. Samantha Marks, head of the Circle's surveillance division, kept glancing at a folder she never opened. It was marked only with a number, 47B. There was no house, 47B. After the meeting, Clara tried to follow her, but Samantha had already left. That night, someone slipped a printout under Clara's door, a floor plan, hand-sketched, outdated. It showed a 47B lot, buried beneath the structure now labeled as House 86. There were rooms underground, labeled in red ink, containment vault. Clara stopped sleeping. The construction crew that had originally laid the foundation for House 86 was now unreachable. Phones disconnected, social profiles deleted, no forwarding addresses. Clara called a contact from her last project, someone who'd worked on off-grid surveillance designs. He told her something she didn't expect. "If it's under the circle," he said, "then it's still alive." Still alive. That same night, Clara heard footsteps on her porch. When she opened the door, no one was there. but a small device had been left on her mat. A GPS unit. Its screen lit up and blinked once before displaying coordinates that led directly to the green belt beyond House 86. She went. The green belt was quiet, unnaturally so. No insects, no wind. She followed the path until she reached a fence marked LRC Utility Zone, no entry. Beyond it, a hatch, not locked. She climbed down into a narrow shaft, barely wide enough to stand. It smelled of dust and metal. At the bottom, a sealed door, the kind used in Cold War bunkers. There were no handles, just a panel with a fingerprint reader. It lit up as she approached. Accepted. The door opened. Inside, the walls buzzed with low-frequency sound, barely audible, but nauseating. Old cables snaked across the floor, linking into a series of monitors mounted across the wall. Each screen displayed a different interior view: hallways, bedrooms, backyards, all from the 86 new homes. But one screen remained black. It was labeled Unit 86, Internal View, Redacted. She stepped closer, a noise behind her. She turned. No one. But something had changed. One of the screens now showed her own apartment. The lights inside were flickering. A shadow moved through the hallway. The monitor glitched. A whisper came through the room's audio system. Faint, almost a breath. You shouldn't have come. Then, the monitors all shut off. And Clara felt the floor vibrate. When she finally climbed out and back onto the surface, she found her car door open. Her keys were missing. On the passenger seat, a note had been left in the exact handwriting used on the red ink floor plan. They only built 85 homes. You are the 86th. She drove home in silence. The next day, a public announcement was made. The HOA had finalized its new resident list. 85 families confirmed, 1 unit left pending development. But as Clara scrolled through the new digital map, she saw something chilling. House 86 was now listed, with her name as occupant. She hadn't applied. She hadn't moved. But the HOA had moved for her. Her belongings, gone from her apartment, forwarded. She hadn't just discovered the secret, she'd become part of it. And as the night fell and her lights flickered for the first time, Clara realized something deeper, something horrifying. She hadn't been hired to build the circle. She'd been brought back to complete the loop. It started raining the night Clara Dresden decided to go back to the construction site alone. The HOA's official map showed 86 houses, but the blueprint in her hands, older, unedited, showed 87. One lot had been redacted, sealed under layers of bureaucratic noise, misnumbered and folded into the records of Unit 86 like it never existed. She knew now that the final house wasn't just uninhabited, it wasn't meant to be found. Clara parked 2 blocks away and walked in silence. Wexley's newer district was unusually dark. Street lamps that once burned with golden light now flickered dim red like emergency lighting. Her boots sank into soft ground near House 86. The lawn hadn't been maintained, even though it was under HOA regulation. And yet the grass was freshly trimmed. She knelt down and ran her fingers across the soil. Warm, recently disturbed. She stood still for a long time, listening. There was no wind, no insects, just the faint, electric buzz of something beneath the earth, like a pulse. The porch light turned on. She hadn't touched anything. A curtain moved inside the living room. She ran. The next morning, Langston held a meeting with Patricia and a small circle of board members. The footage from Clara's visit had already been scrubbed. The timestamp she triggered, 3:14 a.m., was the exact mark of the nightly signal drop Samantha had documented months earlier. The window, as they called it, when the circle's legacy protocol activated. Patricia wasn't surprised. She had warned them. She wasn't vetted, she said, stirring her tea without looking up. And she's already spoken to Evan. Langston's jaw twitched. Then Evans broke in containment. No one said anything after that. Later that day, Clara received a package at her office. No return address. Inside, a single VHS tape labeled 47B Prior Occupant. There was no VHS player anywhere in the HOA's system, none allowed. But Clara had one at home, an old one, boxed in her garage. She plugged it in, rewound the tape, and pressed play. The footage was degraded, time-stamped April 1997. It showed a man, middle-aged, wearing construction gear, walking through a half-built home that matched the layout of House 86. He narrates into the camera casually at first, until his tone shifts. They buried it wrong, he says, too shallow. He turns the camera, revealing a hole in the floor. Something metallic sticks out of the mud. They said to leave it alone, he whispers, but it hums. The video cuts to static, then picks up again. The man is sitting, his eyes hollow, blood on his shirt. The audio is faint, but one word repeats in a broken whisper, Sylvia. Clara felt ice crawl down her spine, that name again. She searched public records. There had been no Sylvia registered to the HOA. Not in this district, not anywhere. But then she found it, a birth certificate sealed under Level 4 encryption. Sylvia Hale, born in Andover, 1985. Mother, Patricia Hale. Father, classified. She called Samantha. I think I found your sister. Samantha was silent for a long time. She was supposed to be gone, she finally said. She wasn't meant to survive the pilot phase. That night, Claire's apartment was broken into. Nothing was stolen, but the tape was gone. In its place, a printed photo. Clara asleep in her bed, taken from above. A note was taped to the back. Only 85 were meant to move in. You're the 86th. She didn't sleep. 3 days later, residents of houses 34 and 35 filed anonymous reports of hearing digging sounds beneath their foundations. At first, the HOA dismissed it as water pipes. But when one family removed a section of flooring during renovation, they uncovered a narrow shaft. Dry soil, cut wires, burned paper, and a tag. Unit 47B, biological, restricted, recovered. Clara tried to warn the others, but no one returned her calls. Then Samantha went missing. Her unit was cleared out within 12 hours. HOA protocol marked it as reassigned due to vacancy. Langston personally signed off on it. Clara knew then Samantha had either been erased or she was underground. She needed help. That's when Michael contacted her. He had been in hiding since 2019 when he leaked surveillance files from the early Trust Circle experiments. He confirmed what she suspected. That Unit 86 had been built over a containment vault. That Lockridge's failed memory exchange experiments were housed below, sealed by a vote Patricia had overridden with falsified board approval. Michael offered her one chance. I can get you inside, he said, but once you go in, you don't come out unless it lets you. She met him at 2 a.m. near the Greenbelt access tunnel. They climbed down into what used to be a storm drain, now rerouted and locked behind a biometric gate. Michael keyed in a sequence. The gate opened. The tunnel led them beneath the Eastern District, under the newer homes. Everything was silent, cold. At the end of the corridor, a metal hatch, the number painted on it, 47B. Michael hesitated. If she's down there, she won't be who you remember. Clara descended alone. Inside was a room, concrete, windowless, with walls that vibrated slightly. A chair sat in the middle, facing a monitor. Wires trailed into the floor. On screen, a face, Samantha, but older, blank. She spoke. Clara, This version of me can't leave. They fragmented us to protect the seed. The circle doesn't build homes, it builds memory. We were its first structures. Clara tried to ask questions, but the lights dimmed. The monitor began showing faces, every previous occupant of the redacted lot. Some screamed, some whispered. One looked directly at Clara and mouthed something she couldn't hear. Then the screen went black. A countdown began. 003, 002, 001, she ran. Michael was gone when she surfaced. The hatch sealed behind her. The next day, Langston announced the removal of House 86 from all HOA documentation. The address was reassigned. All footage of its construction was erased. New maps showed only 85 homes. Clara? Never seen again. But sometimes, late at night, residents claimed to hear a low hum beneath the floorboards, always at 3:14 a.m., and once, a child from Unit 34 drew a picture in school of the lady under the house with wires in her mouth. When asked who she was, the child answered, she said her name was Clara, and that she remembers everything. The Trust Circle never forgets, not even the ones it buries. Subscribe for part 13.